Well, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday to you all. Greg Angello here on Planet One Radio. Yes, nice to be back with you on the end of the month. This is the last Sunday of July. Today is July 27th, and we are down here in the South in North Carolina. A very um, oppressive heat going on and humidity and all of that is just really crazy. Each day in the last week or two, it's been 95, 98, 99. With the heat index, it's been, some days it's been like 107. So, and then you've got just weird atmosphere, really crazy. So it's just a lot going on with that and a lot going on everywhere else. So I hope that you are all doing well. All right. So a couple of footnotes here before we begin on the program. I put out a video a couple of days ago that I'm going to be doing a couple of podcasts. Now, the one individual that I was looking to do one in the real estate space, who does, I think he does calls or call centers, teaches about call centers. I have really not been able to get a hold of him too much. He has an admin person. I think it's one of those AI admin people, and they come in and they go out, and I really struggle with dealing with that. I get some email from someone that says, so and so wants to be on your podcast. When are you available? And then there's just somebody's name. There's no company name. There's no phone number. There's nothing. So I really struggle with that. So I basically tell them, you know, I I would rather just talk directly with the individual. I mean, what is this? I mean, is this guy like, Bill Gates that I can't call him on a cell phone? I mean, give me a break. So I sent them a message and said, you have a person that wants to be a host wants to be on the show, be a guest on the show, let me know. And we can connect and we can make a date because it's going back and forth. Well, it's not available this day, it's available that day. What about this time? What about that time? Jeez, just pick up the phone, dude, and call me. It's very simple. Very simple. Part of my frustration. Part of my frustration. Because we're always dealing with other people to try to get things done. If you want to get things accomplished, they always say do it yourself, right? So that's probably a whole nother podcast about trying to do business through other people, because we have to rely on other people in a networking center to try to get something done. Because if you're a referral partner with someone and those people are just not doing their job, if they're not talking to anyone else on your behalf and you are, I mean, then, where's the accountability if you don't know what they're doing? Really? I mean, you got to have like check-ins like every week. How many people did you talk to today? How many other, did you mention my name at all? Did you mention my business? And the same thing for me, because otherwise, what's the point of me connecting with you to be a referral partner in this business if you're not going to do anything? That's really what it is. Um, so that's what I kind of like deal with. And I'm sure you deal with that too. That's why it really struggle uh, when we're dealing with a basically a business to business atmosphere of people. I mentioned this before. I ran into someone that we were going to do a measure, basically a turf measure in their backyard. And there was a business truck in the driveway, and this person does, doggy scoops, picks up the doggy doo doo, and we had a nice conversation. So I haven't heard from this person since then. I texted, sent an email, you know, you get nothing. And they're like, yeah, here's my card. Oh, I love to work with you. And then you get nothing. So, um, excuse my frustration, but that's how I am, and perhaps you're going to do that too. So this really leads me into an interesting position now that I'm going to talk to you about on No Good Deed Goes Unpunished Part 2. Okay? We're going to talk about that now, because I think that this is another elevation level of what we can try to work on together, all right, in how we are. Now, you may be an individual like me, right? I've said this before. Um, I will go out of my way. I've done it. I used to do it a lot in the past. I used to go out of my way to help people It's just my Christian spirit to try to help people. And then a lot of times it doesn't really work out. You get a lot of slack or you get nothing from doing it. And so you do it over and over again and you keep saying to yourself, what's the point? So um, now here's what we're going to do. All right. We're going to do a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to me here in where we live here in Charlotte area, North Carolina, with one of my neighbors, which prompted me to put out that video of No Good Deed Goes Unpunished. All right. And now I do have it up on, if you go to my Planet One Radio YouTube, you're going to see it. And I think it's maybe 2, 3 years ago. I can't remember if it was in the summertime or what it was, but I'm going to walk through that. And then I'm going to discuss with you what I think is going to be probably the best process, best practices, perhaps, of how you and I, if we get into these situations, how to um, limit our frustration or the way that we react when we don't get the type of response from doing a good deed. And we all know what it is. All of us, I'm sure, have done it in one way or another. It could be someone had asked you for a favor. You could have someone who says, hey, man, I need your help. Or you just walk in blindly into a situation and say, what can I do to help? Or I'm just going to help, right? Now, as I said before in the other podcast that I did on this one, we're not talking about humanitarian things, right? We're not talking about if you work for the Red Cross or you work for a food bank or things like that, or you deliver food or things like that. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. It, if you don't get a thank you, you don't get a thank you. But when you get a response that's like, uh, they kind of trash you for doing it, then it's like, how do you respond to that? All right, so I'm going to lay it all out. So here we go. Oh, and by the way, before I get sidetracked on it, I did post that I'm doing a podcast with this actor. Now, he had an issue going on Saturday. I don't know what it was. It does happen. I give them a lot of grace for those sort of things. So we're scheduling this probably for Monday, hopefully tomorrow afternoon. This is Sunday. So hopefully tomorrow or perhaps Tuesday we'll get it done. But we'll get it done. We have a really good rapport going back and forth. So, but things do come up in people's lives. And I get that. Now, he wanted to do it on a Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock. I'm like, that's power time for most people that they got a lot of stuff going on in their lives at that time in the afternoon, but that's when he wanted it. So, and then he had to reschedule, it's okay. I get it. It's fine. All right. Now, so in the community, in the neighborhood that I live in, I've got neighbors on the left of me, neighbors on the right. Here I am stuck in the middle with you. And so, my neighbor they have these really old trees in the front of the house. Okay. There are tons of trees, pine trees and other types of trees here, old trees. North Carolina is an old state. And we have a lot of trees fall down. We have a lot of pine trees that fall down. We have a lot of old trees that fall down. Even if it's not a major storm, it happens. And my neighbor's tree if I'm facing the street, is on my right. Okay, so if I'm looking out my front window, it's my neighbor. She's over on the left side. So I have gone over there and picked up limbs and things like that before and took care of it. And when we first moved in, we were, trying to help her out with leaves. She had a lot of leaves on these big major trees in the front of the house. So I would take care of that, to all those things. I never got any grief from her about it. She was very, very kind. Usually doesn't say too much, just, wave, thank you. It's okay. And me, gregarious and outgoing, anything I can do to help you. Sometimes I have to bring the level energy down a little bit. So at this particular time, I can't remember what happened. I think there was somewhat of a storm and a pretty large limb came down. And, obviously some of it was on my side or our side of the property line. And so I'm like, okay, so what, this is pretty big. Is she going to call somebody to get it? Have somebody come and pick it up? Call the city? I don't know. So what had happened is that there's another neighbor that lives behind us, sort of like around. There's another street. It's as a cul-de-sac, and so this individual, they're kind of friendly because our backyards butt up to one another. Excuse the butt joke, but sort of butt up to one another. And this person and and he's a little bit older than me. He's an older gentleman. And so I believe what happened was is that I think I went and picked up Isaac from school. And then when I came back, I saw the gentleman out there and he had like an old style saw maybe, and he was trying to pick up the big limb and trying to, I mean, there were like branches and leaves. It was, it wasn't like a major, major monster thing, but it was pretty sizable. And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to go out there and help the guy. So I brought out my some of my stuff. I had a smaller hacksaw, wasn't really big, a smaller one. So I'm just going to go out there and start cutting down some of the smaller limbs and start putting them in a pile and all of that. So, and then all of a sudden, after a while, I really don't know what happened, but he's over working in one little section and I'm working over in another section. And I'm like throwing them down we're all putting them all into a pile by the curb. And I quite frankly don't know what happened, but he just got up and he started walking away. Okay, maybe I figured maybe he's tired, maybe he sees me doing it, and he's like, okay, Greg's here and he's got it taken care of and that sort of thing. And so I'm like, all right. So I started doing some more work about it, and I'm like, all right, I think that's enough for now because the only thing really left were some larger limbs and basically the larger, huge part of the limb of the tree, which you're going to have to get an electric saw or something to go in there. So I think about an hour or two later, I look out and he's back, and the neighbor guy's back, and he's like, you know, over the larger limb part of the tree, and he's got this old thing, and he's trying to like cut it or something. And I walk out there, and I'm like, "What's going on, man?" I'm here to help you, whatever I can do. And so he looks at me, and he just shakes his head. He gets up, and he starts walking off again. And I'm like, oh, so now there's something going on now. Now it's just not him. He's got an issue with the fact that I'm out there helping. So I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, quite frankly, I can't remember totally what he said. Something about, and I don't need your help and this and that. And nobody asked you to come out here and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, seriously, man. I go, first of all, we're helping our neighbor because I think the limb of the tree was out there it must have been out there for 2 or 3 days. It wasn't just immediate. That's my recollection. And so I'm like, if nobody's coming out here, if the city's not coming out to get it, then, why don't we band together and get it done? Well, he had an attitude. And I'm like, why is he upset? Because I'm out there helping. Well, he didn't like that. He didn't like it at all. So I'm like, so what do I do? This is my neighbor. I never really had an issue with this guy before. Now, we're all different people. We're all different. We don't really talk too much. I've been trying to, since we've been here, because our back fences do meet with one another. And the fence that was here before we got here was a mess. It was all older. Half of it was laying down. And one day we were talking about, trying to fix it or something like that. And then we ended up getting some new fencing, which eliminated that problem. And so, I never really had any beef with this guy before, but apparently he was upset that I was out there. So I talked to my wife about it, and she's like, well, you probably got into his space. You probably didn't like the fact that he was doing a favor for your neighbor, and then you went over there and tried to help. I'm like, I can't help. Folks, I'm sorry, but I can't wrap my head around that. I can't. So I tried to, at some point, talk to him, but he wouldn't want to talk to me anymore. And so he was saying, well, you're outside and you're throwing branches this way, and you had your axe over here. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. We're all just trying to work together to get this thing done. So that is really what happened. Now, we have really never really spoken after that. I tried to talk to him once again. Now, I brought this up on the video about, do you go back to try to make amends? And so I try to reach out to him again when I see him, because he does walk around the neighborhood. Him and his wife walk. I do see him in his car when he, goes to the store, whatever he does. I believe he's retired. And he won't give me the time of day. And that was very unsettling to me, because I'm someone who I need to have things resolved. Maybe you're like that too. When things are unsettled, and they keep playing over in your head, like, should I go back out? And so I tried another time to go back out to talk to him, to no avail. So I just really and I was a little angry as well. I'm like, I really don't get it, man. I really don't get what you're upset at me. And so I just, I'm like, I'm praying for you. All right, I'm praying for you. And then he's like, well, I'm praying for you too. Okay. Appreciate that. So that is what it was. And that is what prompted me to put out that video, that no good deed goes unpunished. Now, this also may happen to you in a work setting. And I have been, before I got into real estate, I worked in 2 law firms for 20 years. And it's my job, it's my position to help people, right? But sometimes you have to be careful about who it is in an office setting, who you're helping, because they may have an issue that you're involved in. Maybe they're looking to do something for someone else as well, and they got a problem with that. Maybe it's a jealousy factor. I don't know. So maybe what was going on next door with the neighbor and then him that I got involved, maybe it was a jealousy thing. I'm like, see, to me, those two pieces don't go together. All right. So that is what that is. That's what that was all about on the first episode of No Good Deed Goes Unpunished. So I've been thinking now, as I brought up in another video recently, I think about maybe a few days ago, on how to curtail how we deal in those situations. All right. So this is just from me. You may have your own position on it. You may be thinking you have a better way of doing it. That's fine. I mean, that's why we have comments. That's why we leave it open for you. You just go ahead and tell me what you think, what you've been involved with, and what may be a remedy or something that you did. Maybe there was a practice, a best practice for you that resolved it. And it could be, I just don't do that stuff anymore. That's probably a good one. And that's probably what happens, because once, 2 times, 2, 3 times, we put ourselves in that situation, we just put our hands up and say, forget it. But from my position of faith, you just got to keep going back if you can, without getting into trouble or getting hurt, right? And see if you can make amends or whatever you can do. All right. So here's what I believe might be a best process and a best practice. Okay. So number 1, expectations. Those are always key. If you're walking into a situation knowing that you're going to try to help someone, whether or not it's your neighbor, whoever it is, you need to have some set of an expectation of what it may be. And don't set yourself up for the fall. Okay? If you're going in blindly, then then whatever happens, happens. So you need to have a setup. You need to be having a process that says, A, if I go in and do it, whatever the results are going to be, those are the results. If I get a handshake, if I get a high five, if I get a thank you, appreciate you, you just receive it well. If you get, I didn't ask you to come here, you screwed this up, don't ever come on my property again. I didn't ask you to do this. Or maybe you get an email from someone, a coworker at work, and says, why did you get involved? You need to be prepared for that. You really, really do. And so, as I said in the video that I did, a lot of this that I've learned is from dealing with my son and in my marriage, in how we receive a response. So if we get one in this situation, right? And obviously, we're going to know if it's no good deed goes unpunished if we get a response. If we don't hear anything, then that's fine. So when I have, obviously my son Isaac, who's 10 years old now, he has some responsibilities as much as we can give him at his age to try to do things in his room, clean up, read books, the things that he has to do. He has a math tutor, things like that. And so he needs to know when these things are going to happen. We have a board, we have a chart for him to know, during the week, this is the things that, we want you to do. And a lot of the times, they go unmissed or they don't, yeah, they get missed. They don't do them. He doesn't do them. So I have to come back to him and say, Isaac, before you get on your video thing or whatever it is, did you do your cleanup? Did you do the reading? Things like that. And so if I get a response that's like way up here, like, I'm going to do it or I did it or whatever it is, that is an elevated response that I wasn't really expecting. It's just like if you have a conversation with your spouse or whatever relationship you're in and something doesn't, you tell someone, well, this is what it is I thought you were going to do, or you're going to do this, and you get this response. Do you go right back at it? And it is a natural emotional response that we do that. It's just how God has made us. Fortunately, we work on an emotional based state. And unfortunately, that gets us into trouble. So we need to learn how to control our emotions when we receive something that is elevated that we don't expect. So I'm learning, one, I don't respond right away. I just sort of stare at him. I stare at Isaac. I just look at him. Because in my head, I'm like, all right, what is going to be the best way for me to respond to my son? Because if I come after him at the same level and say, son, this is the third time I've told you to clean up your room or to pick up the mess or move the dishes or whatever you did, the plate, and put in wherever it's going to go, dishwasher, whatever. Now, you have to ask yourself how much either stress or anxiety or emotional, havoc it's going to cause on you. So is it, number one, is it worth it to respond that way? And number two, is it best practice just to chill out and let it go for the moment? I mean, obviously, we always, in a good sense, correct our son when things don't go the way that we expect them to do. I mean, we're his parents and he understands, he needs to know, just like all children know, to honor your mother and your father and to obey your mother and your father. It's part of the unit of a family. But when we're dealing with individuals that we're not related to, well, of course, sometimes we can be. It could be a cousin, it could be an aunt and uncle, it could be a family member, it could be a sibling that you've done something for and they got upset and then it just causes your response, whatever it is. And maybe you've lost relationships over that. It happens. It's crazy to see the smallest things can turn relationships apart. And a lot of times it's from that we're having a response almost on the same level as they are. So my best practice is to, one, learn. And the best way to do it, really, folks, is to role play it. Okay. It's just like when I've been on phone making cold calls. I had to learn when I call someone, asking them about whether or not they want to put their property back on the market, and they've already gotten a ton of calls. It happens all the times. And they scream at you on the phone. And they swear at you on the phone. Now, am I going to respond back that way? No. I mean, why would I do that? I mean, that's not helping anything, especially the person who needs my help. You have to learn how to bring the level down and to talk in a different manner. So let's go back to a situation now. I would say that not having any expectations is better than expecting to have a response to helping someone. Number one, no expectations. You just go in there, do the job, walk away. That's it. All right. And those of you who, are faith based people or have read scripture before, there is one. I don't know exactly which one of the gospels it is or which book it is. I can look it up later. Maybe I should have done it because I don't script these things. But there is one where Jesus says when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray. Don't stand out in the street corner and have everyone look at you and say, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing. Okay. This is not what it's about. If you're going in because it's all about you, right? You want to get all the praise for doing it. Well, maybe you should start thinking about humility. So that's another thing I would write down. Write down, number one, no expectations. Number two, have a sense of humility. All right. And then to me, what really is the best practice is if you're going to respond, is just totally flip it. Totally turn it around and say, I'm so grateful for the fact that you came back to me and told me just that I heard from you. Because many times when I've gone in and helped a neighbor or a friend or a coworker or someone, no one really says anything, but I got a response from you and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And that's the end of it. I mean, what more are you going to say to try to change it? I mean, you could say, listen, I get it. I don't know whether or not to say, is there anything else I could have done that could have been any different? Because you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart. Now, if you're in an employee situation, obviously you got to be careful, especially if it's, you got a boss and, you could be getting an email like the boss is like, well, you got to come in my office and we got to figure out like why you and so having a tit for tat about, something that you're doing something in the break room or whatever it is. Those situations can be very, very tenuous because you're going to see that person all the time. It's just like what I said before on the podcast of No Good Deed Goes Unpunished. First one, there's a likelihood that you're going to see that person again, especially if it's your neighbor. And I don't like having a situation now where I don't speak to my neighbor. I mean, even 2 years later, I could come out and say, hey, man, I hope everything's good. There are people who it doesn't matter how much time has gone by. They won't give you the time of day. That's why I'm always been a person that says, forgive and forget and let it go. Just let it go. Write that down. Just let it go. The time that you waste in your mind thinking about what you could have done and angering yourself over the response that you've got from a deed that you did, contemplating how you should have gone about doing it. It's over with now. It's in the past. Just let it go. No expectations. Return a response in a much different tone. You don't have to respond right away. You could, obviously if it's, you're trying to correct your children, maybe you need to take 5 minutes or so and then go back out. That's a good practice too. Because if I don't want to stand toe to toe with him because I don't know what's the next level he's going to go. And I don't want to anger my son. We don't want to anger our children. And there are people that no matter what you say, they don't care. So I'm not trying to say don't ever go back out into the field of helping. But this is also a good practice for those of us that are in business because we deal with the public on a regular basis all the time. I've sat in front of people just like as far as maybe, I know we're looking into a camera and you're looking at me on video, but I'm looking at my computer screen and I've sat at people this close before. And when I tell them something of what something is going to cost or what they need to do to get it, I get this, you know, I get a heated response. Now, I'm like, look, man, I'm not, the numbers are the numbers. It's what they are. This is what your numbers are. This is what the numbers are here. If we can't meet together, I get it. But, there's no reason for you to get upset with me because I'm telling you something of what the numbers are. That's what it is. And now, a lot of times, especially in business, especially if we're selling products, people have experienced this. If you're going into someone and selling them, say, a car, they've already been doing this already. And if they're getting the same answers again, they get very frustrated. So that's why a lot of times I try to pull things back to try to find out, like, well, where else have you gone? What have you been looking at? And what happened? It's the same thing in what I'm doing right now in the turf business. I went to someone's home, went out there, very small backyard, but it was a backyard perfect for turf. And they're looking for quotes. Okay, great. I would do the same thing. I actually encourage you to do that because I want to see what you're going to get versus what I can do for you. So I ask those questions. All right. Has anyone else come to the property? All right. What do they tell you? A lot of times they don't want to tell you what the quote is. I'm like, okay, if you don't want to tell me the quote, then here's what that we can do. Um, this is what it's going to work out to be. These numbers um, can be changed depending upon how we look at measurements in different ways, but I still, no matter what, want to be able to negotiate to get you the best deal because turf is turf, but you're getting me. So the price that I'm giving you is coming from me. You're coming from you're getting the heart of me in the deal. Okay. So, but that's totally a different situation. So without trying to labor this video much longer, I think most of you get it. Most of you understand it. It's also interesting to see, especially in wedding planning. That's a really interesting thing. I want to try to find a wedding planner to get on to try to find out what they deal with. Because even if you're a family member, a lot of family members like to get involved in the family's wedding plans with the bride to be or the groom to be being the best man or whatever it is, or you have a family member, a cousins or whatever they are, they want to get involved and help. My advice in that is that you need to really sit down and let that person know, A, that one, can you, and B, if they want help, what is it that they want? Because a lot of times someone will just say, hey, I got this friend of mine's a caterer. I just called them up and they can do the wedding for you for this amount. Okay, I appreciate that, but I already have that set up. Oh yeah, well this person said they can do this and they can do that and and they can get you a really good discount and and why don't you just talk to them? Okay. You should have called me first and told me you're going to do that. And I'm pretty much can say that that's happened many times. I would say stay out of that. Those are weeds, folks. Unless you're a wedding planner and you're getting paid to do it, do it. But if you're on the outside looking in and you want to help on that, oh my goodness gracious. So, no expectations, folks. Wait before you respond. Just breathe it in. Just breathe in their aggressive response to you. Just take it in. Because there's a video out there by Jim Rohn that talks about how to respond without a reaction. That's what this was about. Because if you come back in a much different tonality, it can flip them totally around. They're like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting you to be so kind back to me. Because they could be ready for it. They're like, okay, I'm gonna go with them with both barrels. I'm waiting to see what they're gonna come with. Don't come back with both barrels. Just put it off to the side. Don't even respond. Just acknowledge it. Thank you for my time and walk away. All right. Same thing in a lot of hostility when we talk verbally back and forth with our spouses or significant others. One little word gets taken out of context or out of content, and now everything starts getting all, as my son recently learned the word quagmire. He goes, Daddy, what's quagmire? I go, it's kind of like when everything's a mess. Everything's kind of like in chaos. You don't want that. We want peace. I mean, I want peace. You want peace. And that's, to me, that would be the mindset of going in when you're helping someone, that you're going in peacefully. But folks, I'm going to tell you, just let them know what you're going to do before you do it. Best practice. Best thing to do. Don't set yourself up for anything. All right? That's what I got for you on No Good Deed Goes Unpunished, Part 2. Have we resolved it? All right. Thank you very much. That's going to wrap it up for me on this Sunday afternoon. We appreciate you very, very much. Planet One Radio podcast on YouTube. We actually got some more subscribers. We do appreciate that very much. I don't, tell you all like the first 5 minutes, or not even that. With some of these videos, 20 seconds in, they tell you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe. We get that. Usually what happens when people do that, they just bounce off the video after that and it goes somewhere else. So I kind of like do what you want. If you're liking it, subscribe. If you don't like it, don't subscribe. It's okay. I'm not set up for anything on it. And I got no expectations, folks. Only if I can bring you something that may help you, whatever it may be. Okay? Now, I do have something that I can help you with. If you are interested in learning more about artificial turf in your home or in your business, I'm more than happy to come out. We don't charge for that. We don't charge to do an estimate for you. I have like 4 or 5 proposals right now. We give people a lot of grace. I tell, obviously you want to get the sale. So look, if you sign this in the next day or two, we get you a nice discount. That's fine. You're going to get it anyway, because I want you to get the product. It's a great product, and I want to work with you. So that's how that is. So that's what I got. Greg Angello with you on a Planet One Radio Day. Remember, folks, be kind to one another, love one another. All right, and we'll talk to you all very, very soon on the next Planet One podcast. Take care.